welcome back to our channel, dear viewers. Today is a spectacular day to dive deep into the thrilling, unpredictable world of Genoa City. Grab your favorite beverage, settle into a comfortable spot, and get ready for an extensive breakdown of the latest dramatic twists and turns. We have an incredibly intense storyline to unpack today, so let us jump right into the heart of the drama. The usually bustling, high-stakes quarters of Abbott Cosmetics have been plunged into an eerie, suffocating silence as a massive crisis threatens to tear the Abbott family apart from the inside out. The sudden, inexplicable disappearance of Diane Jenkins Abbott has sent shockwaves through the corporate headquarters, transforming the atmosphere from one of strategic business maneuvering to one of absolute, visceral panic. For 2 agonizing days, Diane has not been seen or heard from. Her meticulously organized office sits empty, a chilling reminder of her sudden absence. The gravity of the situation is beginning to weigh heavily on everyone, but no one is feeling the excruciating pressure quite like her son, Kyle Abbott. For Kyle, this is not just a missing person case. It is the terrifying resurrection of his darkest childhood traumas. Growing up with the agonizing belief that his mother was dead, Kyle is uniquely vulnerable to the psychological torment of her sudden disappearance. Every passing hour without a word from Diane amplifies his dread, pushing him closer to the edge of a complete emotional breakdown as he desperately searches for answers in a city known for its dangerous secrets. Kyle's mounting anxiety reached a boiling point when he took it upon himself to investigate Diane's suite at the Genoa City Athletic Club. What he found there only deepened the mystery and heightened his terror. The bed was perfectly made, completely untouched, indicating that Diane had not slept there for at least 2 nights. Her personal belongings remain undisturbed, offering no clues as to her whereabouts or her state of mind when she vanished. Kyle knows his mother better than anyone, and he knows that abandoning her post at Abbott and vanishing without a trace is entirely out of character for the reformed Diane. She had been working tirelessly to prove her loyalty to the Abbott family and to rebuild her life in Genoa City. This sudden disappearance defies all logic, leading Kyle to the horrifying conclusion that foul play must be involved. The pristine condition of her hotel room is not a sign of peace, but rather a sinister blank canvas that leaves Kyle's imagination to run wild with the most terrifying possibilities. He is convinced that someone with a vendetta against his mother has finally made their move, and his list of suspects is dangerously short. To truly understand the tragic complexity of Diane's disappearance, we must rewind to the days immediately preceding her vanishing act. Diane was already in a state of profound emotional fragility, grappling with the agonizing uncertainty of her marriage to Jack Abbott. The breaking point seemingly occurred after she experienced a vivid, terrifying nightmare. In this horrific dream, Diane witnessed Jack moving on with Patty Williams, the deeply unstable woman from his past. The nightmare was so visceral, so deeply unsettling, that it shook Diane to her very core, prompting her to reach out to Jack in a moment of raw vulnerability. She left a heartfelt, emotionally charged voicemail for her husband, laying her soul bare. In the message, Diane confessed that despite the immense pain and the seemingly insurmountable obstacles between them, she still loved him deeply and wanted to try again. She expressed her desire to move forward and announced her intention to visit the Abbott mansion to speak with him face to face. It was a desperate plea for reconciliation, a lifeline thrown across the growing chasm of their broken marriage. However, tragedy in Genoa City often hinges on the cruelest of misunderstandings, and this situation is no exception. By a twist of devastating fate, Jack Abbott never received that crucial voicemail. The message, filled with Diane's desperate hope for a reunion, vanished into the digital ether, leaving Jack completely oblivious to his wife's willingness to mend their fractured bond. From Diane's perspective, the ensuing silence from Jack was not a technological glitch, but a deliberate, crushing rejection. Imagine the profound agony she must have felt, waiting in her hotel room for a response that would never come. It is entirely plausible that Diane, feeling utterly abandoned and humiliated by Jack's perceived silence, decided to retreat into the shadows to lick her wounds. The psychological toll of believing that her husband had given up on their marriage, especially after she had humbled herself to ask for another chance, could easily drive a woman like Diane to seek isolation. But as the days turn into nights, the theory of a voluntary retreat begins to lose its credibility, making way for a much darker, far more sinister reality. While Kyle and Jack frantically search for clues in the light of day, a chilling scenario is potentially unfolding in the shadows. Imagine the sheer, unadulterated terror Diane must experience as she slowly regains consciousness, not in the luxurious comfort of her GCEC suite, but in the suffocating pitch black of an unknown, windowless room. The tantalizing possibility remains that Diane might wake up in a dark room, her initial confusion rapidly giving way to a volatile explosion of temper. Diane Jenkins is not a woman who takes kindly to being controlled or victimized. As the disorientation fades, her survival instincts honed by years of navigating the treacherous waters of Genoa City's elite will violently kick in. She will likely scream, demand answers, and thrash against her confines, her fear quickly transmuting into blinding, righteous fury. The sensory deprivation of the dark room is a classic psychological torture tactic designed to break the captive's spirit, but Diane's spirit is forged in fire. Her anger will be her weapon, fueling her determination to escape and exact vengeance on whoever dared to strip her of her freedom. The identity of Diane's captor, if she has indeed been abducted, is a burning question that threatens to ignite a full-scale war in Genoa City. The most obvious and terrifying suspect is Patty Williams. Patty's history of severe psychiatric instability, coupled with her deep-rooted, toxic obsession with Jack Abbott, makes her the perfect candidate for orchestrating such a heinous crime. Patty has recently resurfaced, bringing with her a storm of chaos and a renewed fixation on Jack. If Patty discovered that Diane was attempting to reconcile with Jack, her twisted, possessive mind might have rationalized kidnapping Diane as the only way to eliminate the competition permanently. Patty's delusions often blur the lines between love and violence, and she has proven time and again that she is capable of extreme measures when she feels her fabricated reality is being threatened. The thought of Diane locked away in the dark, at the mercy of Patty's unpredictable and dangerous mood swings, is enough to make anyone's blood run cold. Driven by this exact fear, Kyle Abbott's desperation morphs into a dangerous, uncontrollable rage. Unable to sit idly by while his mother's fate hangs in the balance, Kyle decides to take matters into his own hands. His suspicions immediately zero in on Patty Williams, fully aware of her volatile history and her undeniable animosity toward Diane. In a scene ripped straight from a thriller, Kyle tracks Patty down to her current hideout, his eyes blazing with a terrifying intensity. The confrontation is far from a civil interrogation. It is a violent, explosive clash fueled by a son's primal need to protect his mother. Kyle, completely losing his grip on his usual composure, corners Patty, shoving her aggressively against the wall. His hands tighten, demanding to know where she is keeping Diane. It is a shocking display of raw emotion from the usually polished Jabot executive, highlighting just how deeply Diane's disappearance has fractured his psyche. He is willing to cross any moral or legal boundary if it means bringing his mother home safely. Despite Kyle's physical intimidation and furious demands, Patty's reaction is deeply unsettling. Instead of cowering in fear or immediately confessing, Patty maintains a chillingly defiant posture. She looks at Kyle with a twisted, enigmatic smile, flatly denying any knowledge of Diane's whereabouts. Her eyes, dancing with that familiar, dangerous glint of madness, suggest that she knows far more than she is letting on. Patty might drop a vague, cryptic clue, or offer a denial so bizarrely phrased that it only deepens Kyle's suspicions. Her ability to remain calm, even amused, while being choked by an enraged Kyle, proves just how disconnected from reality she truly is. When Kyle finally storms off, his heart pounding with frustration and unresolved terror, Patty watches him go with a lingering smirk. She is clearly reveling in the chaos she has either created or is simply enjoying watching unfold. Her cryptic behavior ensures that she remains the prime suspect in the eyes of the Abbott family, setting the stage for an even more explosive confrontation with the patriarch himself. While Kyle is resorting to physical violence, Jack Abbott is about to receive his own disturbing wake-up call regarding Patty Williams. The tension at the Abbott mansion reaches a fever pitch when a highly unsettling delivery arrives for Jack. It is a package containing a bouquet of flowers, but the beauty of the arrangement is entirely overshadowed by the sinister, cryptic note attached to it. The message from Patty implies that she is keeping her distance for now, waiting for Jack to reach out, but she ominously adds that she hopes he will soon have a reason to contact her. In the context of Diane's sudden, unexplained disappearance, this note reads less like a friendly greeting and more like a terrifying ransom demand or a sick psychological taunt. Jack's blood runs cold as he reads the words, his mind instantly connecting the dots between Patty's twisted obsession and his wife's vanishing act. He begins to panic, realizing that his previous attempts to manipulate Patty into a fake alliance against Victor Newman may have catastrophically backfired. Jack is suddenly overwhelmed by a crushing wave of guilt and terror. He had foolishly believed he could control Patty, using her as a pawn in his grand chess match against Victor. But Patty is not a pawn. She is a wild card, a dangerous, unpredictable force of nature that cannot be tamed. Jack fears that his recent interactions with Patty might have inadvertently given her the false hope she needed to take drastic action. Did he accidentally trigger a psychotic break? Did Patty interpret his manipulative charm as a genuine declaration of love, leading her to eliminate Diane to clear the path for their supposed romance? Jack's mind races with these horrific possibilities. He knows that Patty is capable of extreme violence, especially when she feels scorned or threatened. The realization that his own hubris and thirst for revenge against Victor might have cost Diane her freedom or worse, her life, is a burden almost too heavy for Jack to bear. He knows he must confront Patty immediately, not just to demand answers, but to face the monster he may have inadvertently unleashed. Armed with a cryptic note and fueled by a desperate need to save his wife, Jack Abbott goes on the warpath. He tracks Patty down, ready to unleash the full force of his fury and desperation. When Jack finally corners her, the confrontation is electric with tension. He does not mince words. Jack straight up accuses Patty of kidnapping Diane, demanding that she return his wife unharmed. He throws the cryptic floral delivery in her face, using it as proof of her twisted games. Jack's voice trembles with a mixture of rage and fear as he tries to penetrate Patty's delusions, warning her of the severe consequences if she has harmed a single hair on Diane's head. He tries to use his historical leverage over her, alternating between aggressive demands and desperate pleas, hoping to find a crack in her psychological armor. Jack is fighting not just for Diane's life, but for his own redemption, desperate to undo the damage his manipulative schemes have caused. Patty's response to Jack's furious accusations will be the ultimate pivot point in this harrowing storyline. Will she proudly confess to her crimes, presenting Diane's captivity as a twisted gift to Jack, a permanent solution to their supposed obstacles? Or will she react with genuine, unadulterated fury at being accused of a crime she did not commit? If Patty is innocent of the kidnapping, Jack's aggressive accusations will only serve to alienate her further, potentially turning a dangerous wild card into a lethal enemy. Patty has a history of reacting violently when she feels unjustly persecuted or rejected by the men she fixates on. If she is not the mastermind behind Diane's disappearance, Jack's confrontation will be a colossal misstep, wasting precious time and igniting Patty's wrath. However, if she is the culprit, Jack will have to navigate a psychological minefield to negotiate Diane's release, playing along with Patty's delusions without triggering a fatal reaction. As the days blur together, the mystery deepens, pushing the Abbott family to the brink of despair. The week of June 1st to June 5th is slated to be a pivotal time frame in this gripping saga. During these crucial days, Jack is expected to finally uncover the truth behind Diane's disappearance. The suspense is agonizing. Is Diane truly locked in a dark room, fighting for her sanity and her life against a deranged captor like Patty Williams? Or is the reality far less sinister, but equally tragic? There remains the heartbreaking possibility that Diane, utterly crushed by Jack's failure to respond to her vulnerable voicemail, simply packed her bags and fled Genoa City to escape the pain of his perceived rejection. If Diane is merely hiding out, nursing a broken heart in some remote location, the revelation will be a profound relief mixed with a bitter pill of regret for Jack. He will have to face the fact that his own communication failures and his obsession with his vendettas drove his wife away. The psychological implications of either scenario are immense. If Diane was kidnapped, the trauma of her captivity will leave deep, lasting scars on her psyche. Waking up in the dark, feeling powerless and terrified, will fundamentally alter her perspective on her safety and her relationships. She will return to Genoa City a changed woman, potentially more guarded, more suspicious, and perhaps harboring a deep resentment toward Jack if she learns that his manipulations of Patty put a target on her back. On the other hand, if she fled voluntarily, the emotional bridge between her and Jack will be severely burned. Rebuilding trust after such a profound misunderstanding will require immense effort, transparency, and a genuine willingness to prioritize their marriage over all other conflicts. The Abbott family, already fractured by internal strife and external threats, will have to rally together to support Diane, regardless of the circumstances of her disappearance. As we look toward the highly anticipated week in early June, the ultimate question remains: will Jack and Diane finally reunite? The path to their reunion is currently littered with landmines of miscommunication, paranoia, and potential criminal acts. Jack must first solve the mystery of her location, a task that will require him to outsmart Patty Williams, decode cryptic clues, and confront his own devastating mistakes. If he manages to find Diane, he will then face the monumental challenge of winning her back. He will have to explain the missed voicemail, apologize for his reckless use of Patty in his war against Victor, and prove unequivocally that Diane is his top priority. The love between Jack and Diane has always been passionate, complex, and deeply resilient, but this current crisis will test the very limits of their bond as they fight to reclaim their shared future.